Hello and welcome to the channel. My name's ESG and we're going to be doing a Germany focus tree / research guide. Now, I get a lot of questions in terms of like when I do a guide playthrough, like how do I exactly do the research? So I wanted to take you through how you would do this in Germany. So things that we're going to cover is like tech juggling, as well as priorities for researching and kind of what I'm thinking about as I go through what you need to research to then transition into production and construction, things like that. And then secondarily, I'm going to take you through the focus tree order that I like to use as Germany currently in 2024. There have been a few updates, and it might surprise you exactly how I go through this, but I think that it's the optimal way for AI games. So let's get into it. Okay, the first thing that we're going to do here is pick up basic machine tools, construction 1, and then electronic mechanical engineering. So you get a research boost from electronic mechanical engineering, and then you're going to get a bit of a construction boost from construction 1, and basic machine tools is going to give you a lot of boost to your production screen here. So those are definitely the 3 best choices. Why is the 4th slot open? Well, I'm going to show you how to tech juggle. It does work, and it does work really well. The theory, or my theory, about why tech juggling is so good is because if you look at this tech tree here, you could see that there's these numbers to the side: 1937, 39, 41, 43. And as you go down, you can see that you have huge penalties to the research as you move down the tech tree. What you want to do is focus your research on things that are really, really good, and then ignore the things that are not good. I know that sounds obvious, but it's kind of hard to focus yourself because there's a lot of different choices that you have here in terms of research. Now, as Germany, you're going to look at your military staff here and then kind of decide what you want to do. But obviously, there's an armor genius, there's going to be an offensive expert, and a ground support expert. So that gives you a bonus to air superiority. So how you want to go about your research is first going to be determined by what you're going to actually produce. To set more context for you guys, I'm going to show you how I set up Germany in terms of production here. Okay, so in terms of production, we're going to start off with this here. You do have a TAC bomber that is pretty decent early, and TAC bombers are pretty hard to shoot down, so they're useful throughout the game. So that's the only piece of air equipment that you can reliably produce turn 1 and actually see a big return on investment. The rest of the equipment is just standard stuff that you're going to need. You're always going to want support AA in your division templates. You're always going to need support equipment for various support companies. Soft attack is at a premium. You're always going to want artillery. The light tanks are for light tank recon. You could take this off after you build like a few hundred actually, because you're going to get a lot from Czechoslovakia, and the TACs have good range, and you can take North Africa with the help of the TACs using airports in places like the Dodecanese here. So they are quite useful throughout the game. And infantry equipment is just because you need to supply your troops with guns. Since we talked about our advisors here, what exactly are we going to target our research for? Well, we should be targeting our research for 3 specific equipment types, and we should be focusing on said equipment types. One is going to be a fighter, and then you can also transition that fighter into CAS if you like, and all you would really need to research is maybe armor-piercing bombs if you want to, but not even that. The CAS should be good to go. The second thing that we need to target is medium tanks, because they're definitely the best chassis for a tank. They give you all around the best stats, reliability, and survivability. And then it's nice to go for mech as well. So we're going to be targeting those 3 types of research as you go throughout. So you'll see how that works. To digress, why are we doing construction first? That's because to build all of those things in the production screen, we're going to need to have civilian factories, and this is kind of like your economy. And so the best way to set this up is just like so, avoiding the areas here in the middle because they get a 100% boost to their infrastructure. And you might say, well, why not go infrastructure first? Since infrastructure allows you to build things faster within each of these provinces. And the reason why you don't build infrastructure first is that you're not building a civilian factory. So while you're building that infrastructure to get a construction speed bonus, you are not getting civilian factories out. Therefore, you will produce civilian factories slower. And so this is a key concept. So if you see people tell you to build infrastructure first, this is probably a later game build. It's not Germany. It could be the Soviet Union or something like that. It could be viable for ultra late games, or the US is a classic example of when you would build infrastructure first, because they get into the war so late, and the infrastructure also gives you resource gain, which is quite important for a nation like the United States. So yes, there are situations that you would build infrastructure first, but most of the countries, your economy is going to be limited, and you have various time limitations as well. And then after you build this, you'll start building military factories with a target of to October of 1937. You will take off the civilian factories or just build out whatever you have already started to construct, and then you'll switch to military factories, transitioning to Walther Funk, who is a war industrialist. And that's going to kind of give you the best bang for your buck in terms of civilian and military factories. And how does that tie into the research? Well, all the things that we're going to get early are specifically targeted to boost our construction speed or our production output. So civilian, military factory construction or production of equipment. And that's going to be very important so that we're ready for war, obviously. Now to the focus tree screen. Rhineland first without exception. And we're going to go ahead and give this a go. I'm not going to play the game. I'm just going to go through the research for you. So we're not going to get involved in Ethiopia and Spain. That'll be for other videos. But basically, you need the political power from Rhineland so that you are able to transition to free trade, which is going to be the best thing that you could do as Germany first off. As you can see, I paused at around midnight. And what we're going to do here is our first juggle. So I like to juggle off electronic mechanical engineering. So we could change this slot to something that we're going to need early. I like to go field hospitals. I think that it's a requirement of the game. It's also fairly cheap. So I'll go ahead and research that, applying the MIO here. And then I click onto the tech research with 30 days on it and apply the 30 days to this research. Boom. It's down to 41 days. Field hospitals are good, because the more manpower you lose, the less war support you get. And that can affect your country in many different ways. You can get strikes. And field hospitals also have trickle back. So you could keep the veterans returning from the hospitals and keeping your XP on your division templates high. XP is one of the best mechanics of the game. You get really big bonuses from experience on your division templates. So I'm just clicking around here. Q through T is the basic hotkeys, checking when Rhineland is going to finish, and I'm checking when this is going to finish. Okay, so pause when you pick up Rhineland, and then the first thing you're going to go for, the second thing you're going to go for is 4-year plan, and then you're going to pick up with the political power that you received from Rhineland free trade. And I'm just demonstrating this to you because that is why you go that focus. And we were limited exports, and now we are free trade, which gives us construction speed 10%, research speed 9%, factory output 10%, dockyard output 10%. There is more resources to the free market, so we have less resources, but we are not too resource constrained other than rubber. And I didn't do the Navy because Navy really doesn't matter that much for Germany. So as you can see, we have another slot that we can juggle here. So let's continue on. So we wait for the research bar to fill up, and we will juggle basic machine tools onto radio. Radio is the best tech for, and it's because of the 5% reinforce rate, which basically lets your divisions, if they're attacking in a stack, cycle out faster. Yeah, it is the best tech for ground units in the game. And if you don't have radio, you'll immediately notice this because you'll start failing your offenses immediately and wondering why. So I like to pick this up just to get it out of the way, and then we'll apply the 30 days that we juggled onto basic machine tools. Boom, there's only 11 days left. Okay, we picked up basic machine tools, which opens up our research tree here for concentrated industry 1 and improved machine tools. Typically, I would go dispersed industry 1, but I'm so confident that I'm going to be doing well in the air and I'm not going to be bombed that I'm going to go concentrated industry 1. So dispersed industry 1 for air defense. And so basically your factories won't get blown up as often. And concentrated industry 1 for the Chads, that because you could get the extra 5% factory output. We'll go ahead, pick that one up. We have to do all this juggling before 4-year plan comes up, so wait for it. You want to constantly look at that bar. Okay, so we picked up field hospitals. So we will go ahead and pick up improved machine tools. As you can see, I'm off radio again. That's by design. And then what we want to do here is just stare at this. And then at 69 days, we're going to do our juggle off construction. So we could go back to radio and apply those days to construction. And so we've boosted the research for all these early construction slash research boosts, and we've gotten through that a bit quicker, which means we're going to be able to build civs fast. Immediately we pick up 4-year plan. 4-year plan is going to give us bonuses: infrastructure, civilian factory construction speed, railway, if you pick up Yalmar Shek. You also get 2x 100 research bonus for industry, and that's where the real money is. It has been heavily tested. Yalmar Shecht, who is right here, the captain of industry, you can pick up. But since the game is so political power intensive now, I do not pick him up, because if I pick him up now, by the time we go Fate of Czechoslovakia, or I believe he falls off if you has not completed Demand Sudetenland. So after we pick up Demand Sudetenland, he's going to fall off. And by then, his 10% bonus to civilian factory construction speed will have netted us about half a civilian. So to me, it's not that big of a deal. I don't pick him up. I use the political power elsewhere. Now, I'm just going to give you a little bonus info here. Martin Bormann, second, is going to be money. So I always pick him up because political power is at such a premium. Free trade first for all the bonuses, Martin Bormann for the political power. And then I avoid Yalmar. The next thing we're going to do is go autarky down to extra research slot. So we'll just blow through this, but basically you're going to get research bonuses to excavation. I usually just pick up Excav 1. You're also going to get autarky, so mills, civ construction speed, dockyard construction speed is boosted by 10%. So that's why we're rushing down this line, so that we can get those factories out faster. And then you get factories. You just get factories from doing Hermann Goering work in KDF Wagen. Basically, you get 12 factories here, 12 civilian factories. It's insane. And the extra research slot, which is going to give you the ability to go through all that tech research that we need to do before war in order to completely dominate the game. Okay, so we'll blow through this. Okay, so we just got construction 1, and you're going to give me a lot of heat for this. We stopped there. I'll tell you why. It's already June. We only have June till the next October to build civilian factories, and this is going to take 156 days. Bonus is not going to work as well as you think it will. Yes, I do have construction 1, which does give me access to excavation 1, and that will give me a little bonus to my construction. But construction 2, in my opinion, there's other things that we're going to need that will give us better bonuses. But you can already see 4-year plans bonuses here. Don't click on any of those. You're going to wait and concentrate all your bonuses here. Focus all your bonuses on concentrated industry, because that's going to be the best bang for your buck. Now, if we come over here to medium tank, this is 468 days. What I like to do at this point is pick up interwar artillery, because it's so cheap. Now, this is going to be a point for debate. This is going to be for AI games. If you're going multiplayer, I definitely go anti-tank. Since this is an AI game and you're mainly going to be making encirclements, doing damage with encirclements, I like to go soft attack. This pierces the infantry well. You could still make your encirclements around Soviet medium tanks, for instance, and then you could still attack the Soviet medium tank, because you're still going to be dealing damage to the part of the division template that is soft. So the soft attack will still get through. It might take you a little longer to defeat tanks, but you will be able to defeat tanks fairly well, particularly if they're encircled. So I like to go the soft attack down to improved artillery upgrade 2, where we are going to get the improved medium howitzer. That's going to cost a little extra resource, but the soft attack is 45, and you get soft attack upgrades your line artillery as well. So this is really good. So we'll do that next. Okay, at this point, we're going to finish radio off and interwar artillery, as well as concentrated industry 1. I just picked up Hermann Goering work. So after we go interwar artillery, just keep transitioning back to the same thing here, going down the artillery line. Your cutoff for being like perfect in terms of ahead of time penalty is around 320 days. So I'm going to pick this up a little early. I just like to stay on the artillery so that I don't forget to do it. I also like to pick up radio because it is complete blown game if you don't get radio on time. So I just get that out of the way. It is a little suboptimal because a few of your equipment types will come out like 10 or 15 days later than they otherwise would, but who cares? Okay, so we got radio. Now I like to pick up the medium tank. Now, the last time we took a look at medium tank, it was 468 days. So in about 100 days, 70 days came off because that's all ahead of time penalty bonus. Researching early is going to hurt you quite a bit. Now, will it net you days? Can you get it faster? Yes, but an extra like 200 days of research will only net you like 30 days if you're going for, let's say, the improved small airframe or something like that at 845 days, just to give you a sense of how the ahead of time penalties work. So it's better to let those ahead of time penalties melt off. And like I said, if you want to be more one-to-one, just go for research something at 320 days, because then there's very little ahead of time bonus, if any at all. So we'll go medium tank here. I like to go Daimler-Benz here, so I'll pick that up. There's more soft attack on that MIO. I'll let you guys take a look at that. And then as you can see, we're going to have two bonuses here. We're stacking them on Concentrated Industry 2. So our civs are going to come out pretty quick now. And now we're going to have more slots to build civs. So refresh that as you go along. Okay, we just picked up improved machine tools. Don't waste any more bonuses on anything else. We're going to put the next level of research here onto Concentrated Industry 3, and that is where we will apply our next industry bonus, industrial research bonus. So if we go over here to the planes, we can get heavy MGs in 357 days, engine 3, 669. Let's go ahead for the heavy MG, and then you're going to go Messerschmitt with that because we're going to be building fighters out of that. So as you can see, we have our tank research, our air research, and our gun for the tank research, basically. When we get our fifth slot, I'll tell you what we're going to do with that. So we're getting our fifth research slot right now. Okay, Concentrated Industry 2 into Concentrated Industry 3. Another point on this has been heavily tested to wait to apply the bonuses later so that you get the extra 100x bonus. You'd use them on Concentrated Industry 3 and 4. That has been largely debunked. It is better to get concentrated industry bonuses earlier because you get the factory slots in these high infrastructure states earlier so that you could build more in the high infrastructure areas. Therefore, the early construction is going to extrapolate more later in the game. So you don't want to wait. You don't want to build infrastructure. You don't want to wait to build this stuff. You want to build it as soon as possible, because a civ in the bank is going to boost your construction that much more. So you just have to get the civs out as fast as possible and put them in all the high infrastructure areas. And the extra production output that you get from concentrated industry is also good as well. Now, if you're in multiplayer, this is going to be dispersed industry 100%. I just want to make that clear because I know there'll be people coming in saying, what are you talking about? I do this in multiplayer, or because I do it in multiplayer, that is the standard for the game. Not so. AI games are way different, guys. You guys need to understand that point. Okay, now that we have research slot here, we're going to go ahead and apply mech to it. This is way ahead of time, 720 days, but I like to have mech for the Battle of France. If you get it out early, you could really shred enemy armor because the hardness of your division is going to be high. And yeah, you're just all around going to do really good things with better stats. So I use that fifth slot to signal to me to start mech, and we're going to get a research bonus to that mech that's going to make it go a lot quicker. That is definitely way ahead of time, but we're going to get it like something like 20, 30 days earlier. Okay, after we get the extra research slot, I go down for the mech bonus, which is going to be under Army Innovations 2. So we'll go Army Innovations. This also, Army Innovations is going to unlock Erwin Rommel for us, which is nice to have. For the tank bonuses, where you're going all in on Green Air and Tank Division bonuses. So you may be asking, why don't you go down and pick up Anschluss and Sudetenland? That is because we're letting them build factories right now. We're allowing them their focus trees to go down here for construction effort and armament effort, which will give them civs and mills quicker than we could build them ourselves. So I like to go Army Innovations and then Treaty with the USSR. Okay, we picked up Treaty with the USSR. Now we're going to go Army Innovations 2. Okay, it's August 37. We could switch to mills here. Just place mills in the 80 infrastructure areas again, avoiding the Reichsautobahn areas. And those are going to come out quite quickly. I'll go ahead and pick up the War Industrialist just to see how we could do in terms of mills. Right now, we've got 69 civilian factories that will transition to 72, but we're going to get a lot more with when we take out Austria and Czechoslovakia. But August 37 is a good target to make your transition into military factories. Okay, we just picked up Army Innovations 2. Which is going to give us our mech bonus. And now I messed up. We should go Anschluss. So I forgot to train troops for Anschluss. What we can do here in the meantime is just go a little bit out of order. But I'll go ahead and pick up like Reichsautobahn. But typically this would be Anschluss. And since we haven't participated in like Ethiopia as well as the Spanish Civil War, which looks like it's a mess down here right now, world tension is not high. But it would be high at this point. And your marker is going to be, once world tension is greater than 10%, then the Allies have bonuses to their focus tree. Therefore, at that point, you want to go Anschluss, because when you take out Austria, that world tension spike will be kind of insignificant at that point. And it will give time for Austria to go ahead and build more factories. Actually, this might even work out a bit better. Let's see how many divisions we can kick out in this amount of time. Okay, we're going to keep rolling down the artillery research here. Approved artillery upgrade, 356 days. And before I forget, we're going to switch off the mech, switch on to whatever you want, and then switch back to the mech. And you could see the 100x bonus that you get there. And then all of a sudden, mech looks kind of appealing at this point. Now, make sure you don't apply any bonuses to any research over here with tank, because that, for some reason, removes the mech bonus. So you have to, after you get Army Innovations 2, you have to apply the bonus that you receive from Army Innovations and Treaty with the USSR to mech first, or else they erase for some inexplicable reason. So the timing here is perfect because we don't have the basic medium chassis yet, so it doesn't give you the chance to fall into that pit. Okay, so we have the basic medium chassis. Now you're free to go ahead and apply the next bonus to the upgraded chassis with whatever MIO you like to go with. And at this point, you're going to be kicking out a lot of mills. You know, you could just put this on a basic medium chassis, and you could also put this on a plane and just evenly distribute them. Your tank is not going to have that much reliability. Your plane is going to be fine because you could just convert from stockpile later. So I more err on the side of plane, and I typically target around 40, 45 to stay ahead of the United Kingdom in terms of air production. If you right click on the UK, and if you have spies, you could go ahead and take a look at what they're building here. But also you could just take a look at the civilian intel, and you can see they only have 6 on plane right now. So you should be able to stay ahead of them quite easily. So we'll go ahead and set this up. If you go about 40 on plane for AI games, on fighter, you should do fine. It's nice to mix in a little CAS. You can mix in maybe 3 on CAS. But as soon as you have a fighter design with the heavy MGs, take off your basic medium airframe here, because that will no longer be needed. I have other videos on how to design the fighter and medium tanks for AI games, so you could check that out on my YouTube homepage. Okay, and there's heavy MG, so you could add that to your fighter. Going to kind of use this research slot to continue on. We're going to go survivability studies. Engines 3 are kind of a bridge too far right now, as well as the next level of chassis. Okay, so we're going to get Anschluss a little bit late here. So let's go ahead and pick up Anschluss, so you will get this several months earlier. Probably better, though, because it allows them to build more. And world tension is still really low. So I clicked through that really fast, but always choose the middle Yugoslavia bomber competition, whatever it is. As you can see here, they purchase aircrafts from us, and we get consumer good factories negative 15% for a time. Fighter production is 10% cost, but the consumer good factories are really good for that. Okay, let's go advanced machine tools next. So this is 327 days. So that's almost no ahead of time bonus. Okay, we picked up Anschluss. Next, I like to go reassert Eastern claims. This will give us like one civilian factory from Mamel. And this also allows Czechoslovakia to build more factories while we're waiting. So one civ is better than Yal Marshakt. Okay, let's see what these guys were up to. Oh yeah, there's 8 civs right there. So that was like 15 civilian factories from Austria there. Not too bad. And then you just keep on chugging along with mills, save these 100% infrastructure areas for the refineries. And typically Austria does not have 2 100% infrastructure areas. That was from their focus tree. So delaying this a bit actually paid off. So I might start incorporating this and doing Reichsautobahn first. So think about that. But this build looks quite good. Delaying Anschluss and Fate of Czechoslovakia looks pretty good at this point. So as you can see now, world tension is at 20%. Since we took out Austria, this is kind of the time when you need to build it. You need to start building mills in 60% infrastructure areas, but definitely prioritize the higher infrastructure areas, saving the 100% infrastructure areas for construction of refineries. Okay, reassert in Eastern claims goes into demand Sudetenland. See what Mamel gives us. One civilian factory, sure enough. And we're already starting to turn pretty blue here. The other thing that would have happened by now is you would have gone war economy, just to give you a heads up, so our industry would be a little bit better. It's not really an industrial guide though. I just show you the construction screen to show you how that interacts with the focus tree and the research. So we picked up survivability studies here, and that's to get the armor plates on the fighter. You could also go for self-sealing fuel tanks and some of those other things if you acquire some rubber. But now we're going to go for engines 378 days down to 366 days with the MIO. Not bad. Not too much ahead of time bonus there. So you're being efficient in your research. Okay, so we've demanded Sudetenland. Now let's go first Vienna award. Okay, we picked up mech. And at this point, I like to go for rubber processing to get some of these out of the way. You're going to be very rubber constrained as Germany. And then your mech, gotten questions about this. Just increase the production cost, ignore the reliability, and you'll outproduce the tanks there, or the mech that is destroyed through reliability. So that's how you're going to set that up. You would have obviously gotten advisors like Halder, and you participated in foreign wars so that your army experience and your air experience would have been high. Do note that you get some 80% areas here. You could switch some of these mill production around, just kind of take the 60s down pretty much. And then that's all going to come out quite fast. Around the end of 38, you want to start building refineries. So we'll go ahead and simulate that here. And then this should catch you up a little bit on your rubber production. Okay, first Vienna award goes to Fate of Czechoslovakia. And we're almost done with our artillery upgrades. So improved artillery upgrade next. Bit ahead of time, but not bad. And that's going to be applied to the tank. So already you should be able to apply the medium howitzer 1, which is going to be serviceable early war. And you could already be kicking out the basic medium tank chassis just to have tanks kind of to fill up your divisions. Okay, we get the improved medium chassis, and then we're going to go down to the 1943 medium. And as you can see, we have a bonus there. So we're going to be ahead of time, but this chassis is going to be like the Barbarossa tank. This is going to be where you're really going to have a good tank. So you need to get that immediately. As you can see, we're building out all those refineries right now. We'll take all of Czechoslovakia. And then at this point, we would have transitioned to Reichsautobahn, and we would have started building refineries. I think that I'm going to say at this point, I liked the pickup on the Reichsautobahn because I could build refineries a little bit early and then allow Austria and Czechoslovakia to build more civilian factories. Let's go for coal liquidization next, so this is going to give us a research bonus. Go ahead and pick that up. Typically, so we should be able to get down here, and then we can apply the research bonus that we get from coal liquidization down lower here to advanced rubber processing. So that's going to work out fine. Okay, so at this point, I like to pick up Excav 1, because without balancing our trade at all, you can see how bad this looks. And eventually, you're going to have to take off free trade as war starts or after the Battle of France, because you're going to have to go to limited exports. I like to bounce from free trade to limited exports and not go through export focus, because political power is such at such a premium. And this is going to give you the resources that you need for all the mills that you're going to acquire from France and Poland. So you're going to have to sacrifice the factory output, the research speed for the production of raw equipment. Okay, so we picked up rubber processing. Now let's go ahead for improved rubber processing. 133 days. So we're going to pick that up before we get the research bonus here for coal liquidization. Okay, after coal liquidization goes synthetic rubber. So from Czechoslovakia, it looks like we got an 80% area there. I'll start building mills there. And then we're going to have to build mills in the 60 areas. We picked up excavation 1. Let's go ahead for improved small airframe. So we're going to get the improved small airframe by 1940. It'll be fine. If you upgrade your fighter appropriately, it'll go 5-to-1. Initially with the Allied Air, scaling to 10-to-1. So you just need to produce enough fighters, and they need to have good speed in air defense and air attack. Okay, so we picked up coal liquidization and synthetic rubber. The next thing that we're going to need to go for here is Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Okay, so we got improved rubber processing, and now we're going to go advanced rubber processing. As you can see, we're going to pick that up fairly quickly. Okay, we just picked up the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. At this point, you could go Brom Wirtschaft or naval rearmament, depending on what you want to do, just to tread water for a bit and go a little later into war, or you could just pick up Danziger War. I'll just pick up Danziger War at this point, more of a historical timeline. So after you get Engines 3, you could see that Engines 4 are a bridge too far. You want to go back to Concentrated Industry 4, and we're almost entirely blue here. So we must have done something right, and if you need more spots to build refineries, you can use Mamel. It's an 80 infrastructure area. You're going to be a little behind on rubber production the way I did this, but as you take out Poland and France, you'll get other high infrastructure areas to build into. Okay, so we just got Danziger War, and as you can see, we're almost to our target of getting the gun that we want on the tank. The first gun that we had, the improved medium howitzer, will be serviceable, and by now you should have been able to churn out most of the 1940 medium chassis, as well as you should be able to fully upgrade your Messerschmitt. So in other words, the basic small airframe that you start the game off with, you should be able to kit that out with armor plates, heavy MGs, as well as engine 3s. So you want to start doing that around early 1939, converting that from stockpile, convert your tank from stockpile, churn out as much mech as you want. And typically you're shooting for something like 3,000 fighters. You could sprinkle a little bit of CAS in there as well. Like 200 or 300 would do at this point, and you'll build into more. It's fine. You can build a little nav as well if you like that. And if you have 4 medium tank divisions that are fully kitted with mech, like that's going to be enough to take out Poland and France easily. If you're really a Chad, you could go for like 8 tank divisions by now. I typically don't like to do that, but by the end of France, I'll have 8 tank divisions out easily. And then for North Africa, I send them down usually around like 4 tank divisions, not more than that, because you're risking those tank divisions crossing the Mediterranean here. And you're so supply constrained over here that you're not going to be able to supply that many tank divisions anyways, particularly if you're using mech in those divisions. So I kind of like to go truck in the North African tank divisions because they're a little less supply intensive. Others will tell you to go mech. Whatever you decide to do, I think is going to be fine. There's not going to be too much of a difference, but I hope that you gleaned some information in how I did the tech juggling, how I'm researching specific things with specific goals, like fighters, tanks, mech, and then you can go ahead and apply these concepts to other countries that you're playing. As always, look at what your military advisors are giving you and target specific equipment, specific focuses, and specific research to match what your advisors give you in terms of combat effectiveness. Erwin Rommel being a tank and armor genius. So for Germany, you target armor. If you got a mech guy, target mech. If you have an artillery guy, target artillery. And let that be your guide. Don't go off script because you're not going to perform as well, I guarantee you. You want to synergize your military build with your advisors. All right, so that's going to be it. Please consider liking and subscribing. If you learned something, leave comments down below if there's a better way to do this or if you just want to say hi. And I'll see you guys on the next one.